Hello, precious beings. We out here. This is a pick a card. As you can see, there are many cards here for you to choose from. This is pile 1, 2, 3, and 4. And today's reading is going to be based on messages your ancestors have for you, messages from your benevolent ancestors only. And these messages can be about the ways that they lived, patterns that they have that you might be moving forward with, things that they want you to hold inside of yourself, and ways that you might benefit from changing. So just take a second to notice which pile feels best for you. And again, this is pile 1, 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So just take a minute to decide. Maybe you can't take your eyes off of one pile. Maybe one of the numbers just stuck out to you, or you like the way that a certain aspect of the cards looks on one of the piles. But take your time and move forward to the pile that feels best for you. And I'll go ahead and put the timestamps in the bio from wherever you're looking, from wherever you're watching. Peace. So we're gonna start with pile number 1. And remember, you can choose from 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is, again, an ancestral reading, and this is going to go first on my Patreon, and I'll share it later for the general populace, I guess. For Patreon, we're double dipping this month, since last month was a lot. So you'll get the glow cast as well as this reading first. And yeah, let's hop in. First, we have 8 of Swords, we have 3 of Cups, we have the 7 of Candles with Wands, we have Death, I live in truth, and I communicate with compassion. The decks that we're using here are the MNT Oracle, Nightmare Before Christmas deck, which I really love, and the Santa Muerte deck. So immediately I started hearing strut from the Cheetah Girls. You gotta strut like you mean it, free your mind, it's not enough just to dream it. This is giving very big, I lived well, I died well, I enjoyed myself, I had fun, I spent time with the people that I wanted to be with, I gave love, I received love, I had good sex, I was free, and I was present in this body, and nobody could take that away from me, and nobody ever will take that away from me, right? This is energy of fire. This is energy of ancestors who went through their share of struggles, right? But were always champions in the sense that they never allowed for these things to make them minimal. They never allowed for these things to rob them of who they were. So I'm seeing words like freedom fighter. I'm seeing, again, the word champion, champion, champion. I'm seeing a person holding medals. I'm seeing people who were dedicated and focused, and heavy emphasis on the I live in truth, right? And what I'm hearing these ancestors say is that sometimes it takes living a lie or seeing people live a lie to know that you want to live in your truth, right? We tout a lot about living in our truth, right? We talk a lot about being yourself and being freeing yourself and liberation this and liberation that, right? But what happens when a person is so, I'm seeing the words radically encumbered, right? A person is so trapped within a cycle of being who they saw others be before them, and feeling just looped. How much tension is brought from a breakthrough. And so I'm seeing these being ancestors who were the first to break huge cycles in life, the ones who saw the chain, lived the chain, were pulled by the chain, and snapped the chain. And I want to focus on the reverb that is brought from that, right? When we're pulling at a chain, there's what's the word? There's there's a recoil, right? Sometimes other people get slapped with a chain. Sometimes we fall back, we recoil. Recoil is what I meant. And what I'm also hearing from these ancestors is that wow, this is so profound. Sometimes in transformation, you are forgotten. You are made to be forgotten. You are made to seem like you perished in rot, when in reality, you was living your best life, you know? And so what I'm hearing these ancestors saying is that life is to be enjoyed, whether you have little, whether you have a lot, whether you go out a lot, whether you're inside most of the time. Make your life and the time that you spend on this realm as rich, free, powerful, and sweet as you can have it be. Spend time with plants and talk to them. You know, go outside and fucking dance in the sunshine, dance in the rain, move your body in all different elements and see who you become. And this is literal and metaphorical. You know, go into spaces that you wouldn't normally go to see what people are living like. It feels like these were ancestors who traveled a lot, or who wanted to travel more, right? Or who traveled within their means, because, you know, some of you will have ancestors. So I'm especially seeing folks who have ancestors from Mexico, who, yeah. I gave my friend's bird a little snack, and she had the snack in my hair, and I'm finding crumbs from the snack in my hair. Very just, oh, you see, now things are moving, because, all right, so, back on the topic. I'm seeing folks who might have ancestors from Mexico, from the Andes, from South and Central America. Yeah, especially, shout out Florcy, who may have had to stay in confined spaces. And I'm seeing a lot of folks who had ancestors who are showing up from the early 1800s. I'm seeing 1848 specifically. Oh, is that confirmation? We like that. Who are showing up to say that this realm will tease you. This realm will make you feel like there's always more to access somewhere else. But the unique perspective that they're coming from is that they accessed everything that they needed to access. And very often, a lot of folks didn't leave their town or their country or village. You know, they met different people. They were talking to people. They were visiting the worlds inside of other people. They were visiting the worlds inside of other people. And so with the Three of Cups coming up as well, this is a really big emphasis on community. I'm hearing your ancestors asking you, in times of need, who is there? And with what do they show up? And I'm hearing them say there's also a value to be put on people who are boring or who you perceive as boring because they're dependable, right? So in their time, people who were boring weren't really always seen as such, because people needed each other, right? So your person who's boring is dependable. And in times where people are fucking shooting at each other, in times where there's war and sickness ravaging a land, right? Where people really need each other, need to feel safe with each other, to hold each other. Boring is good because someone who is dependable is not necessarily going to run the fuck off with all your seeds, right? Is not necessarily going to, you know, snitch you out immediately. There is an energy of people who are reliable being important, but also it is a blessing to get to know someone to the point of reliability, to the point of, this is interesting. I'm seeing the word sanctimonious. I want to say sanctity, but they're saying sanctimonious. Not really sure where that's coming in, and I don't quite recall what that word means right now, so maybe it'll come back later, right? But the messages that they're having for you, let's pull a little bit more on what they want to say to you specifically about how you're living now. And it's not from that deck, it is from this deck. Again, I am trustful in my relationships. Same thing, I am trustful in my relationships. So A lot of the time when we are moving in the guidance of our ancestors, we're moving in the medicines that they're offering us as they are walking with us in life. There are obviously similarities because we take after them whether we know it or not. And sometimes as they're seeing these similarities play out, it hurts them because they're seeing the ways that they were treated that are being treated towards you. And with these ancestors, I'm hearing specifically, if my own family would treat me badly, if my own family would try to erase my history, if my own family would try to erase my queerness, my specialness, my aptitude, my wisdom, my light, why wouldn't people who call themselves my friends do the same thing? And that's a big lesson. That's a big pain, a big source of grief. And again, I want to say as much love and warmth and power and fire, fierce fire as there is with these ancestors, I also want to name that there is the Seven of Wands, right? And the Seven of Wands is always about having to constantly defend yourself, of constantly having to show up for yourself bigger than most people show up for you. And you are here, my dear, who is watching this, to transform that pattern. You're going to transform that pattern in this life because you will create relationships, and you are being tasked and asked to do so. Relationships that are so rich, that are so communal, that go so deep, that the ways that you were treated by family, not that it won't hurt, but it won't be able to affect you as much because you will have known what it is to be satisfied, to be loved so deeply that the grief seems to disintegrate, but also to be loved so deeply that your ancestors receive peace, receive dissolution of their challenges and trauma through you. Wow. So this is a timeless reading, right? But this is also an activation. So if it's not making sense immediately, it will start to make sense within 2 months in terms of your relationships, the relationships that are becoming most prevalent for you. And it seems like a lot of you who picked this pile might be in some kind of quarrel or tension or disconnection or state of confusion with 1 to 2 people probably that are closest to you, people that you consider community, people that you consider maybe able to be part of your future, or maybe people that you consider boring, right? And what's going to be ultra important is creating space to ask whether the maybe judgment that you have over these people is something that has been received or something that you yourself perceive. Is it that this person actually did something, or is it just that, you know, maybe you got too intimate with this person and things started to get kind of scary? Is it that you saw one thing you didn't like and you were like, I don't have the energy to work through this, so we'll just fucking burning, this is happening, that's happening. Let's pull one more card. Wow. And here we go with the Ten of Cups. Beautiful. This is beautiful. This is really community. This is really what it looks like when you are loving and open and sweet towards the people that you care about. And I'm hearing your ancestors say that if you've wanted access to land, if you have wanted to maybe have a garden or or spread or share of yourself in a way that is more communal, maybe communally raising children together, maybe buying land with a bunch of people, maybe moving somewhere. Sorry, my phone did a thing. So group 1, if you've been wanting to work land or have communal land with people, maybe you've been thinking of moving back to where your family has land and having a plot, or, you know, getting into a joint venture with friends, maybe buying a house together. This could look like maybe buying buying up a block. I'm seeing like a series of long houses together, maybe by like a water or lakefront, something like that. Do it. Do it because it's very blessed. And your ancestors are saying you can light a blue candle for them. And you know, fill the candle with soothing herbs like chamomile. I'm seeing lavender. You can also add a little bit of cinnamon to sweeten it, or some sugar, maybe honey, just a little bit though, because you don't want to do too much of the honey. It might not burn too well. Or when you're cleaning the candle first, I always clean my candles before I burn them. Put in a little honey and just whiten down some water. And light them with the intention that the pain, the heaviness, the sadness that your ancestors felt about not being accepted, not seen, be alleviated, be transformed into something that helps your whole bloodline, something that helps you communicate with them better. You can surround this candle in roses and pink roses, white flowers, flowers that open your heart. I'm seeing helichrysum. I'm seeing siempre viva, which in English is life everlasting. I think it might all be the same plant in English, I'm not sure. But give it that energy, give it that love, and yeah. So is there anything else coming up for group 1? Heavy again on the surround yourself with plants. Surround yourself with plants, surround yourself with plant life, and your life will be always a lot easier. So that is for you, group 1. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. If this is on YouTube and you're watching it on YouTube, give it a like, comment, subscribe, all that shit that people are always saying here, which does help. And you know, I haven't uploaded anything to YouTube in a while, so it might encourage me to do more. No promises. So group 2, we're doing you now. Pause. So group 2, what's coming up for group 2? We have 4 wands. We have the sun, Selena. I'm doing this in Leo season, so that's especially nice to see. We have 10 of wands. The candles. We have page of presents. The page of pentacles, and I speak with good intent, and I offer words of good intent. Ooh, interesting. So we have the Santa Muerte deck, we have the Immensi Oracle deck, and we have Nightmare Before Christmas deck. So let's see what's coming up here. This one's coming up semi-reverse, so let's see what that means. I'm not reading reversals for this reading because they asked me not to, but just keep that in mind. There's such beautiful messages coming out from your people, and I feel very blessed to be able to receive these for y'all. So I'm seeing this group as possibly having ancestors that had romantic relationships, right? That started very loving, very sweet, very kind. We have that energy of, I finally have you. You are finally mine. We're finally together. We're going to have children together. We are going to mop up this town, right? We are going to go out and stunt. We're going to come together and live the life with the love that we've always wanted for each other, that we dreamed about, that we pillow talked about, that we ran into the caves and into the woods and intended for, right? This is puppy love for a lot of people. This is teenage love. This is love that starts off fairly young, and love that feels like it made it against all odds, through all obstacles, right? And I'm seeing with some of the ancestors that are popping up, some of them have gone through a lot of obstacles with their own families, with poverty, with hunger, with being put in positions where they felt very small, right? And then with the sun coming in, it's like this love brings so much warmth, so much magnitude, but also so much scrutinization over the things that people didn't know about themselves, that people didn't know about each other, right? About their partners, because when you're young, not everything makes sense immediately, but when it starts to, it's not always the amount of money you would like when it makes sense, right? And so it's like, because folks are so young, they are growing up and growing together, but also growing apart, because they're being magnetized. And soon it feels like there are so many arguments and so many words and so many exchanges and so much anger that it's almost impossible to change, because now you want to remain the same out of spite. Now there are plates being thrown. Now there's a sense of anger. There's just a sense of resentment. And I feel like a lot of the I'm seeing parejas that are coming up are holding resentment towards each other and are not talking. So there might be some of you who already have an ancestral practice, and maybe you're honoring your grandmother and your grandfather, but when you try to bring up both of their names, the energy just shifts, right? Or your chest feels different, or something falls, something breaks. Maybe it doesn't feel like your grandmother will talk to you when you're speaking to your grandfather, or vice versa if you're a medium. Maybe there are people in your family that don't give you clear answers when it comes to their relationship, because there might have been some abuse, or just a lot of violent tempers and patterns of violence that started with them. And so with the Ten of Wands, this is just speaking to a lot of stress, right? Again, when you start young, when you're loving young, and like with a lot of, our ancestors, I know my grandparents had a lot of kids, right? Especially if you're from Latino America. You're going to have like 12 PCs and tíos, 8 more you don't know about, right? The family don't talk about, right? So there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of responsibility, but there's a lot of building anger. There might be some issues around addiction here. There might be some issues around alcoholism. And I'm feeling the alcoholism very strong. This might also be a pattern of heart disease or issues with the lungs because of grief. There might be respiratory issues here. There might be asthma here. There might be COPD here. There might be issues in this region of the body, right? And so with you, the person watching, or rather actually, so yes, it could be you, the person watching, but it could also be the kids, the children of those people who have suffered. And this could very well be your titis, your tios. This could be the people who raised you. I kind of get a sense that some of you were not raised directly by your mother or father, but might have been raised by an uncle or an aunt, and kind of always wondering what the family dynamics were, what made it so that, your aunt doesn't really talk to you about your parents, doesn't really talk to you about the people who raised her or them or whomsoever. And it just feels like an energy of silence, tension, and fear around these relatives, right? And it might leave you wondering, where is the sun, right? Where's the sun? When I see the pictures of these people, they look so happy. Everything looked good, When I'm told about these people, there was a light there. And what happened that made it go out? And so what I'm seeing as being a very big part of why things changed is the speech, right? Of how people spoke to each other, how they were talking to each other. And I want you to keep in mind that this is right before here, right? This heart, this lung, this chest is right before the throat. And if we're going to see it as, when we're walking, when we're existing, our energy is channeling up through our legs. We're gaining energy from the earth to move up. When we're breathing and we're cycling our breath, it starts from the root, right? If this is blocked, if there's a lot of pain here, whatever comes up here, it could be deadly. It could be very harmful. It could be toxic. It could feel intense. And so it feels like there is a lot of mistreatment that comes from the voice. And it started with, the little snide remark, this or that. And then it talks about, I don't like your body. I don't like the way you don't make as much money as your homeboy. I don't like the way that, I slave over this house and you don't appreciate me. I'm going to go fuck this person. I'm going to go do this. And these are examples. So this could come up in this way, right? But it turns into arguments where deadly things are brought up. And then it can turn deadly. There might be some of you whose family secret really is that you had one family member that harmed another, right? And that's not, obviously not everybody's, it's going to be like that, but there is violence here, right? It definitely feels kind of like there might be so much secrecy because you had a family member that abused another family member, and this might have put a family member in the hospital, or that family member can't speak or lost speech, or might have some kind of impairment, maybe uses some kind of hearing aid or something like that because of violence that came from where the son was, from people not having the tools of communication, of treating each other well. And so let's take a deep breath, because that might be a lot to digest. Let's just take a nice deep breath. All right. So we're going to go into the space of I speak with good intent and I offer words of good intent. Because you can speak with good intent without offering words that are of good intent, right? And this might be something that you, as their descendant, are dealing with. You could be struggling to vocalize, right? And sometimes the blockages that our family members have carry into our bodies, carry into the body. This can look like, diseases that are passed on, genetic diseases. This can look like diabetes. This can look like, PCOS. This can look like a lot of different things. So energetically, a lot of you might be having issues or problems with love because it's hard for you to vocalize how you feel. You might not have grown up being told you were loved. You might not have grown up feeling you were loved. And now there's this person who's in front of you who is spectacular, amazing, but you don't know how to tell them, because how do I say that and not cry? How do I say that and not feel something different? So the medicine for you here, and let's pull another card as well. Ooh, interesting. Four of Cups. Is dreaming. This is giving the energy of dreaming what it would be like if you were more able to vocalize what it is that you want. Because it feels like your ancestors are saying, we want full-bodied love for you. We want deep love. We want devotion for you. And we want you to have all of this without having to suffer the way that we did. And it also feels a lot like dreaming it and doing it. So it can look like you setting the intention to dream about what love can feel like without holding back, without the trauma, without the challenges. What love could feel like if you were able to show it more. If you were able to understand also the ways that your partner might want to be loved, or the ways that you might not have been able to give people the love that they needed. Because it feels like it's not just about talking. It also feels kind of like there might be a little bit of an inability to understand that sometimes people just need love expressed a certain way. And so it may not be the speech. It might be that your partner wants physical affection, and that might scare you, right? So let's just think about it as intimacy. I do see an emphasis on the throat, but let's look at it as intimacy. So with the Four of Cups coming up, you don't know what's in this bottle. This bottle is being offered to you, right? You don't know what's in this bottle. You have these bottles, and you're really trying to figure out what would happen if you alchemize different flavors. So on this realm, it can look like practicing. So, maybe past lovers have told you you're not very physically affectionate, and that's something that I need. Practice hugging your friends. Practice developing a sense of touch with yourself. Maybe get a nice massage oil you like. Rub yourself down slowly, gently, with intention. Say kind words to each other. Explore different kinds of touch. Maybe you like a feathery touch. Maybe you like a deep touch. Maybe you like a full-handed touch. Maybe you like, getting fucking beat with something. It really depends. But it's a matter of figuring out what that's like for you so that you can share with someone else. Communicating that you're trying in that way. It can look like maybe doing throat exercises. So using the bija mantra, moving your hands around your throat, playing with the energy in your throat, speaking out loud to yourself more. Sometimes we have thoughts and feelings that we don't even know about until we start talking. We're like, oh shit, that's what I was holding in. That's what I was feeling. So practicing with those kinds of things, and finding tools and exercises to explore what that looks like. Some of you might be dealing with a lot of anger that you're not sure where it came from, but we're kind of answering where it came from, right? And I think, let's see, another way of like processing that, I think what's going to show up to help you move through that anger is kind of noticing that every time you move in peace instead of problems, right? Move in peace instead of violence, you are almost instantly rewarded. And I feel like this is one of the ways that your ancestors have set you up since you were born, or since they transitioned to, change, that's how true it was, to change the cycle. So when your ancestors want you to do work, when they want you to change something that they might have encoded, to change something that needs work in the bloodline, they will give you blessings, rewards when you do the hard thing. So let's say you and a good friend, or let's focus on the partnership. You and a partner, you or someone you're interested in, you're talking to them and they say something that triggers you. They say something about, your body, or the way that you, I'm hearing smell, the way that you laugh. They make a comment on something that you feel insecure about, and instead of saying, actually fuck you and I'm done with this, or motherfucker, have you smelled yourself recently, you say something more like, that was a little harsh, can you find a different way of explaining that? Or what was your intention in saying that? Or clarifying whatever, like clarifying how you feel, but also being able to say that's not appropriate, or like that's not okay, or I'm not really interested in that. And then you might realize that you misread their tone because of what they said, not how they said it. Again, I speak with good intent can be different from I offer words with good intent. The words are fucked up, but the intention might still be there, right? And then you get to be able to say, oh, okay, if that's what you mean, then I'm going to need you to communicate with me differently. I don't like when you say that. I don't like that tone. I don't like this, right? And they'll be able to understand you. You'll be able to understand them. And you'll still be able to get what you need at the end of the day. So let's pull one more card for number 2. I honor virtue. I honor virtue. Beautiful, magnificent, powerful. I honor virtue. So something I want to emphasize about ancestral work is that it's not always easy. It is not always easy undoing patterns that could be decades, centuries old, our own patterns on top of that. But with honoring virtue, this is coming into the message of, I understand and respect that I, nor the people who came before me, nor the people who are here with me now are perfect. But if you're trying, we can try together. I feel this so deeply in my heart. If you're trying, we can try together. But I need to know that we're both trying, right? I need to know that we're both working at this. I need to know that we are both processing and changing. I need to know that we are both in this, because it is work. But what your ancestors are saying in terms of love is that love is not violent. Love is not violent, and love does not have to be Focus on seeing love as the key instead of the lock, and it'll fix a lot of problems. And what I mean by this is that a lot of the time people feel that love is the problem, or that the fact that they are in love is the problem, that love binds them, love ties them, love makes them unable to do certain things. But in reality, when we're moving in love, love is the key. Love can open new perspectives. Love brings curiosity. Love brings intention. Love brings patience. Love reminds us of why we try every day. And so when we are in those states of anger, of feeling unheard, of feeling misled, of feeling unseen, sometimes the best skills that we have are to take some space, say, do the Will Smith, I cannot be loving right now, so I need a bounce. And taking time to figure out what was done to us and what we need in order to feel safe or to move on, right? I tell people all the time, if you're in love in a way that makes you feel violent, you need to get the fuck up out of there, because there is something that you need to change. And this isn't to say that the other person might be blameless, right? Because best believe if a man is cheating on me, if somebody's cheating on me and I see it, I might want to fucking get violent. I might throw the nearest object. You feel me? Very valid things. But I also know if somebody's going to do some shit like that to me, to make me come that far out of my character, I do not need you in my life, because I don't need high blood pressure, right? And that has run in my family. I'm not repeating that pattern, and you sure the fuck not gonna raise my shit. So being able to trust that sometimes patience brings in the things that we need to grow, and knowing that sometimes we need to take some space so that another person can do their own work. And that's what I have for you, group number 2. And drink more juice. Sometimes when you're upset, something that can be helpful is sugar, something sweet on the tongue, because it helps you speak more kindly, and it helps to bite the bitterness, right? I'm seeing apple juice, so drink some apple juice. I know that's very random. If you're allergic to apples, find another juice that you like, or bring some honey. Very santera, but it works. So thank you so much, group number 2. I appreciate you infinitely. I hope that your work with your ancestors is rich and sweet. I will be having an ancestral elevation class very, very soon. So if you're interested in that, you can find that information on my website. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, do all those kinds of things. And enjoy. Halfway there. So, group number 3, this is for you. And I have the Amenti Oracle for you. I have the Nightmare Before Christmas deck, and I have the Santa Muerte deck. The cards that are coming up are the is this 9 or 6? This deck be confusing the shit out of me. I believe this is 9. No, this is not 9. This is 9. The 9 of Pentacles. 6. Six of Pentacles. I'm sorry. Yeah, it'd be doing that. Wait, hold on. Yeah, no, this is 9. Sorry. 9 of Pentacles. The 3 of Pentacles. King of Potions, which is the King of Cups. 2 of Potions. 2 of Cups. And I speak positively of others. I am forgiving. And I keep my own counsel. Beautiful. So, I feel more of a soft energy from this ancestral group. It feels like ooh, it feels very aquatic, but also very relaxed. This might mean come from people who were very chill, who did their best to keep things calm, and people who might have overgiven in the process. So I'm seeing this as an energy of people who may have come from the land or had a relationship with the land where they were always taken care of. What this is also saying is people who were able to bask in their power because they had others around them that were able to support them and work with them towards certain goals. And this can look like community support in general. This can look like people who had like susus, people who hosted parties, hosted gatherings. This can look like bingo even. This can look like just community efforts, people fundraising for each other. You know, there's a pregnant teen, people are figuring out who can help this person, who can support this child, right? I'm seeing an energy of maybe a feminine person and a masculine person coming together, and maybe the feminine person is very involved in community, but also very self-sufficient, very self-assured. This might also be a person who suffered deep heartache early in life. This might be a person who lost a parent very young, a person who, I'm seeing the word poisonous. Maybe they ingested some poison early on, or dealt with poisonous animal early on, something like that. Is also giving energy of I just needed to flip a card. So it looks like the masculine person, or maybe, you know, let's not even go by gender roles, but one person and the other. And we'll go by masculine because it's the king of king of king of potions, king of cups. It might be that the pursuer was able to offer finances or funds to this person to go forward with their dreams. So their dreams might have looked like leaving the country. Their dreams might have looked like having a child. Their dreams might have looked like having in vitro therapy. Their dreams might have looked like just supporting their family. But it feels like this person approached them in a very sweet manner, in a manner where it's like, I want to help you. I want to love on you. I want to give you all the things that you never had because you deserve them. And it looks like that partnership was very sweet, very peaceful, very enduring. But I do sense an energy of complacency and subtle control. It might have been that there had to be complacency because the people around them had negative opinions or said things that weren't too kind about their relationship, or maybe the earth person's upbringing. It could be that the earth person felt very much trapped or small because it becomes a situation of either I have to tell my family and friends to lay off of you constantly, or you know, I check them away from you and I still love on you the way that I can. But either way, if somebody's unsatisfied, excuse me, it can also look like you know, moving to a new country and constantly being perceived as other, constantly being perceived as, you know, maybe there was a difference in complexions between these two people. So one person was lighter, the other one was darker, and they're like, oh, is this your, your servant? Is this your nanny? And it's like, no, this is my partner. And just an energy of a dichotomy that was very awkward for them to speak about. And maybe like a subtle power play, like again with colorism, or with one person having more money than the other, where it's kind of like, and this isn't to say that it happens, but if I don't do this thing that you want me to do, will you do less for me? Will you be less kind to me, or my children, or the people that I love? What's also coming up is one person may be having some kind of a sickness, maybe like a mental disorder, like a depression or anxiety, or the other person, or like a person having issues with the stomach or digestion, or maybe needing a hearing aid or like a walking aid, some kind of impairment, right? We'll call it an impairment, and kind of having to process a lot in a quick amount of time, in order for the other person to be able to support them through it. So what I'm also kind of hearing in this situation is that someone got, let's say, bored with the complacency, or with the lack of argument, the lack of fixing things, right? Because it's like, all right, on the surface everything looks chill, even though psychically there's a lot going on. Psychically, I can tell that you might be cheating on me. Psychically, I can tell that when I saw that kid who looked a lot like you, that it was your child, But immediately, what am I going to do about that? How do I handle this situation? So it feels like in this situation, in this dichotomy with these family members, there was an energy of things being more up here than communicated down here. So it just was like, again, like subtle manipulation, mind games. You can do that, but I'm going to do this. If you want to do that, then I'm going to do this. And if you acknowledge this, then we're going to have to acknowledge that. And I don't think you want that. So we'll just be, we'll keep that there, right? So this feels like bitterness, but it also feels just like coming to peace with the things when they do happen. So what I'm also kind of feeling about this relationship too is that maybe the feminine person, it feels like this might be like a grandmother or something like that, was more able to forgive and process, and maybe the way that they forgave was in silence. It's like, you did this thing and you never told me about it, but based on how you were acting, I could tell that you were guilty, and you changed your actions. So what do we have to talk about, right? What do we have to speak about if I already saw you change from it? What do we have to speak about if we already spoke about it in the upper realm, and you and I both know it? We might not have spoken about it directly, but we both know we can do this. So what is there to talk about? And maybe the other person kind of being more like, well, I do want to talk about it, but I don't know how to start the conversation. Or, the other person being so ashamed that they're not going to bring up the conversation, but it's kind of like, well, I think this person might know. Are they not saying anything because they don't care? And so with the I keep my own counsel card, this is giving big energy of, again, like the 9 of Pentacles person, big energy of anybody can do what they want to do. Anybody can say what they want to say. That's fine, because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to have me. And if you think you're 3 steps ahead, I'm 15 fucking steps ahead. So come and find out, right? This is not really as much a vengeful energy, but an energy of a person who watches people do what they're going to do. And sometimes people might think they're sneaky over this person. But this person's just relaxed because they know that everything is going to fall in order. They know that everything is going to move in alignment for them to still get what they need, because nothing that is theirs fails them. Lo que es pa mí es pa mí. I'm hearing that. Lo que es pa mí es pa mí. Which is a very popular saying. What is mine is mine, and nobody's getting in the way with that, whether it's my husband, my child, whatever the case is. So you are led by people who are very much aware of the cycles of karma, are very much aware of the fact that everything has a repercussion, a sideways action, and that everything moves with a certain energy, right? And so what I'm kind of hearing with this is you have to move with the awareness that the shit that people do and say to you will always come back to them. And sometimes talking about it with them is not even worth your time or energy. Sometimes overgiving is overstepping, because if you know what you know and you've already decided you're not interested anymore, and you know that this person knows what they did or what they're doing, then what is the point of wasting your breath, right? And sometimes you only go back into these situations to fuck yourself up, right? To get closure when what you really wanted was to get fucked, right? Let's be real. And this isn't always the case, right? But sometimes, what I'm hearing is that sometimes you put yourself in situations where you're just saying on this realm what has already been said and decided on the upper realm. And this is the reason why you tend to get into interpersonal issues sometimes, is because you feel a need for constant approval of others. You feel a need to prove to people that you're doing better than they think you're doing, to prove to people that you don't need them, to prove to people that you are better than them or better than they perceived you to be, or that you blew up on them, or that, you know, anything, whatever the case is. And what I'm hearing is that the way that you do that is by continuing to fucking exist. You're not going to stop existing, right? You do that by continuing to exist and to move into the blessings that come directly after you leave those situations. Because your reward for leaving that situation is the shit that you were trying to do with that person in the first place, right? If you were working on a project with someone and they fucked you over and stole your idea, still do your idea because it was yours, right? And it was given to you, it was divinely inspired in you because you were the person that held the medicine. So do it. It doesn't matter what other people think, what it looks like, who's saying what. You know what you're supposed to do. And the people who know you and know your medicine or know your mind will know what's going on. And this is also coming up in relationships because it feels kind of like there's a sense of needing to be needed. Whereas, you know, with the water person, the masculine person, they might have done what they did because they needed to be needed. They needed to be wanted in a way that was different from how they were wanting it. When in the situation it was happening in, they could have just said that they wanted something different and it would have been provided for them, right? Sometimes people who are, and it's interesting because it's like you're both of these people, right? You're very independent. You can do things for yourself. You have a lot of ache, spiritual energy inside of you. You have a lot of power inside of you. You have a lot of magic and energy inside of you that attracts people to you. That makes people go over there and look and say, ooh, what are they doing? This is interesting. This is beautiful. I want to get involved, right? And so you're saying, okay, come and water this space with me. Come and be part of what I'm building and what I'm creating, right? And there's balance at first, right? There's beauty, there's sweetness. And then sometimes the person who wanted you and pursued you initially can become intimidated by how little it seems that you need them. And it's not to say that you don't need them or that you don't want them. It's just that you are aware of yourself. You are aware of what you hold. And then sometimes that person's actions will make you think, was I even enough in the first place? Did I have what you needed? Was I sexual enough? Was I sensual enough? Was I sweet enough? Was I kind enough? Did I say the right things at the right times? But at the same time, if they knew that you had all of those things in you in the first place and were attracted to you because of that, and then when they're insecure, they fool themselves into believing that all of a sudden you no longer have access to any of those things, is it your fault or is it theirs? Are you going to take responsibility for what other people should have done, for the lack of communication on other people's parts in the way that they might try to fuck you over after they don't get initially what they wanted from you? No, the fuck you're not responsible for that. Because you have so much for yourself. You have reaped the harvest of your own things. it's like when someone comes to your farm stand and they're like, wow, these fruit are beautiful, I'm gonna eat all of them and I'm not gonna save any of the fucking seeds. And then next season you have all the fruit again because you saved your seeds, and they come back and they're like, well, how come I'm not getting of that? Did you put anything down, motherfucker? Like, come on, let's be grown, right? And so you have both of these beings within you where it's like you want the satisfaction of being told you are it, you are everything, you are sweet, but you want that to last, right? You want it to last beyond a harvest season. You want it to last beyond 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, right? But in order for that to happen, you would have to be with someone who's already fucking secure. You would have to be with someone who is more Jack Skellington than Oogie Boogie. What the fuck Oogie Boogie done did for anybody? Nothing. So, and it takes, this isn't even the part, but they're saying you can still talk about it. It takes real strength to be able to acknowledge that. And it takes real power to acknowledge that sometimes you're around a lot of weak-minded fucking people. Right? You're around a lot of people that are only confident so long as their ego is being fed. And sometimes you are that person too. But you are not permanently that person because that's not your body. That's not your energy. Right? And because you have both of those wolves inside of you, you're going to have to choose which one you are. And I really hope that you choose to be the person who's self-sufficient. But while you're being self-sufficient, making sure that you are able to remind people, you can come to me with anything. You can tell me anything. I speak positively of others. I speak love into you so that you know you can speak to me at any time. So that you know that you can come to me with anything and I will be here. But I'm going to trust myself and I'm going to trust my instincts above all. So if I see you doing me dirty, despite me giving you all of this love, I'm going to pack it up. And I might not even tell you when I pack it up. And you're just going to have to take that L, right? I give blessings. Acknowledging that you are the person where when you walk into a room, you give so much without saying a fucking word. And again, not everybody's able to take that. Not everybody's able to handle that. But that is not your problem. And sometimes when you are forgiving somebody, you are giving them a blessing. And sometimes your forgiveness and a blessing looks like not smacking the shit out of somebody. Looks like not crying at your altar and saying, well, you can still cry at your altar, right? And saying, this person did But when you do cry to your altar and you tell those ancestors what happened, best believe they're going to handle it. I'm seeing your grandmother, whoever this is about, with a machete right there. Like, oh, word? Beat them. Take your time. Be patient. Beat them. So, group 3, this is very beautiful. I'm sensing, like, silent but deadly energy here, right? This is the energy of an ancestor who held power, held medicine, right? Held something that was very important and moved with integrity. What I'm seeing you doing is you can get a either 7-day or a 5-day candle or one of the freestanding candles, yellow, and offer this ancestor sunshine. Offer these ancestors sunshine. You can get sun herbs like sunflower petals. You can get angelica. You can use chamomile. You can use maybe like the petal of one rose torn up, and you can dress the candle with that. You can melt the wax around it, you know, put the herbs on top of it, put in like glitter, use bio glitter because we go to the earth, right? Things that sparkle, things that feel bright and feminine and powerful and rich, right? You can charge this candle in the sun for a day and then light that candle at night. Thank those ancestors for guiding you. Thank them for always holding you up, and thank them for reminding you of your power, and ask that they illuminate your mind on any situations that no longer deserve your energy, on any people, anything that no longer deserves your energy, and anything that is not going to be able to hold your energy, and how to let go. And this might show up in a dream. If you read cards, you know, you can ask the cards, or you could just light the candle and let shit move and fall apart in the right ways. But group 3, again, you are blessed. Just, damn, that's how true it was. Just don't be insecure about your blessings. You gotta, it feels like I'm seeing you looking at yourself with new eyes after this, and looking in a way where you're just more self-assured, where it's like, all right, everything I need is coming. I don't need to worry too much. I have me. I have everything I need. I have myself. I have my ancestors. I have the ability to make things grow in a way that is very unique, and in a way that a lot of people have not yet managed to do. And so I was given this gift for a reason, so I have to do it. But also acknowledging the part of you that might be more about looking over at what other people are doing, looking over at, you know, how to sympathize and empathize with other people, to learn from them, to grow with them, but not always fully integrating those lessons. Take time to integrate your lessons. Ask your ancestors also with that candle, what lessons have you yet to integrate that are important to you right now? Maybe that looks like a divination skill. Maybe that looks like, you know, a skill like fucking design or drawing, or, you know, advocacy. It could look like a lot of different things. So take that, enjoy it. Let me know how you liked it. Thank you, group 3. I'm also doing an ancestral elevation class where I teach you how to work with your ancestors, how to elevate them so that they're more able to speak to you and you're more able to understand, and that you're able to help them heal with their stuff. Let me know how you like it, and that information is going to be in my website, so keep in touch. Let's take the next breath. Ooh. Time for group 4, the last group. How y'all feeling? I mean, y'all probably just came here right now. So I have the Nightmare Before Christmas Oracle, or not Oracle, but Tarot deck. I have the Amenti Oracle, and I have the Santa Muerte deck. So let's jump on in. We have the 8 of Wands, whoosh, fast energy. We have the Magician. We have, I listen to opposing opinions. We have the Devil. We have the Tower. We have the 4 of Needles, which is the 4 of Swords. Okay. So my stomach feel kind of funny with this spread, and it feels like indigestion. I don't have indigestion, but it feels like indigestion. And this makes sense because this is a group of people whose ancestors moved very fast into everything, did not always think things through, and it's giving Aries energy, it's giving drumming energy, it's giving unceremonious energy. So with the 8 of Wands, this is giving energy of people who were bright, right? People who were brilliant, had a lot of opportunities coming to them, whether it was through work, family, friends, whatever. They need a job, that job is coming the next day, along with 3 other offers. And it feels like these people might have taken advice regularly. I'm seeing through getting readings or like some form of divination. This one came up like very quickly. So this might be a person who took a reading, or might have been related to a diviner, had a close relationship to a diviner, or was a diviner themselves. This could be a person who, you know, had a friend who was a therapist, or just had a friend who gave good advice, or had several friends who gave advice. And it feels kind of like, I'm just seeing like flitting energy where it's like, And then whatever they focus on when they're in a deeper sense of crisis or when they're more receptive, and we're going to get into the cycle of that, is what they listen to. And it wasn't always the best. So interesting. So as I'm seeing them like what they're focusing in on is usually fear. So for example, you might have had an ancestor who would get like 5 readings a month, right? And at the beginning of the month, in the middle of the month, they're getting readings that are like, you know, everything is fine, but you really got to handle this. You got to handle this situation. Maybe they went to a bunch of different readers, and they didn't really take the advice, but they were going more based on shock value. I really feel like this is the specific example for a couple of people's ancestors. But they were more interested in like the accuracy than the actual message or the shock value. And then at the end of the month, they go to a reader who might have been accurate, but was also honing in a lot on very fear-based language. So when they paid the most attention, it was to the person who brought the most fearful message or would strike the fear of God into them. And when they were paying attention with that in mind, it would kind of put them into a cycle of fear, right? Of bondage, where they could latch in and do whatever that person said. It feels like for a couple of you, these people, you might have had an ancestor who spoke kind of ill or had like a weird relationship with one of these people. I feel more strongly that those of you who had the ancestor who was a diviner, who was getting readings from a lot of other people and speaking ill of a specific diviner, that's where the issue started, and it might have skyrocketed into something bigger. But we'll go more general in terms of this. It feels kind of more like, ooh, excuse me. Yeah, kind of like gossip playing a very big role into all these things. So there might have been a time where, you know, a diviner that the person saw towards the end of the month heard that the person had been talking shit about them or had been talking shit about someone that they were close to, and was like, oh, okay. They didn't want to listen to you, nor me, and we said pretty much the same thing, maybe in different ways. I'm going to let them know what they have to be afraid of. And it might have been that this person said, you have this on you, this is going on you, and charged them an exorbitant price for like a limpia or some shit like that. And they did it. And it feels like for a couple of you, your ancestor either went broke or close to broke, kind of feeding into this person, because the person who did it was not the friendliest magician, and might have been going through some shit of their own, and they're like, all right, if you want to be a dumbass, this is your karma and I'm gonna milk it. So it might have been that, you know, they said that this person was gonna have cancer if they didn't do this, that, and the third, and they're paying for this and they're paying for that and they're doing this and they're doing that. And it doesn't even feel like it's all about money. It feels like the person's pride was hurt, so they made your ancestor dump cow shit or milk or some shit like that in front of them, over themselves in the town square or some shit, and people are looking at them like they're stupid. Just doing a lot of things because they were amarrado from fear. And this can be literal, this can be not literal for some situations, but it feels like in general, you had an ancestor that was wrapped up in fear, wrapped up in the energy of fear. And when they finally realized that it was fear that got them to where they were, shit was already crumbling. So what it also feels kind of like is you as the person who is related to these ancestors, you might have an issue with gullibility. You might have a hard time discerning what is a message from your ancestors and what isn't, because it doesn't feel like they're fully clear. So sometimes when we have ancestors who had certain characteristics. Maybe we're not the best at reading into situations. Maybe we have ancestors who had autism, so it was difficult for them to discern between literal stuff and non-literal stuff. When they're sending us messages, we might kind of be like, what? Like, did you really just tell me to take off my pants right here, right now? Like, what's going on? So elevating your ancestors and moving them out of the vibration of fear, and moving yourself also out of the vibration of fear, will be really helpful in terms of getting clearer answers, and communicating with them more. But going back to them, it feels like when the ancestor was put to rest, or when they were when they passed away, or when they finally kind of took a break from all of the stuff that they were doing, they might have passed away very religious. They might have passed away as a Christian, or they might have passed away having dealt with a lot of stuff, a lot of shame, a lot of kicking themselves in the ass because of the ways that, you know, they recalled things in their past that made them feel ashamed. The way that they were like, oh, I should have known, I feel stupid, I feel this, I feel that. If only there was someone who was actually trying to help me. If only there was someone who's actually trying to guide me. Some of you watching this might have OCD, kind of like, almost as like a result of this. So again, like the ways that we say that things can happen physically that are passed on from our ancestors, we can also have those issues mentally. But it also feels kind of like religion was the way that your ancestors might have moved through it. For some of you, your ancestors did not have very good friends, but it all stemmed from stubbornness. It all stemmed from them not really being open to listening to things unless they felt like either something bad was going to happen, or they felt like there was some big exorbitant reward. So this is a really important thing in terms of the value of taking your time to do the work and really honing in on the messages that come up for you, not even just spiritually, but in terms of friends. You know, if your friend is speaking to you and you feel from the bottom of your heart what they're saying is accurate, you might start seeing images in your head when they're talking. You might start feeling things in your body that feel like truth. Listen to those things, because those are also messages from spirit. Listen to those things, because while they might not instantly gratify you or make you feel like you are the best person on the face of the planet, they are things that will help you, right? Some people will come to a therapy session or a reading and expect that the advice that they give, that they receive, will reward them with $1 million fucking bucks, or, you know, will reward them with healing all of their fucking issues with their mom or their dad. And it's like, no, these things take time. These things take sacrifice. These things take change. So being willing to change is important. Again, I listen to opposing opinions. Very important. And you, as the person watching this video, have to really start making decisions based on listening to your gut, but also based on asking yourself, if I follow this advice, who am I going to become? Right? So for example, let's say you have three different friends that are giving you advice. One friend is giving you advice because you're going through heartache, right? And one friend is like, yo, you need to get up on this nigga. You need to go fuck his friend, fuck his dad, and fuck his sister. Fuck all three of these people and see how he treats you. That's one friend, right? The second friend says, you might need to spend some time by yourself, really reflect on what you want for you, maybe do some journaling over what worked and what didn't work in your relationship, right? And the third friend says, you know, even though he came into your apartment and he broke your iPhone and he stole your PS5, you should try to get back with him. One piece of advice might be for the shock value. You know, maybe the person who said it probably wasn't even dead ass themselves. The second one has no negative repercussions. You're just taking care of yourself. You're being nice to yourself. And the third one is more like fucking wild, right? Doesn't really make sense, right? So asking yourself, who do I become if I do this thing? If I fuck all three of these people, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about myself after, right? At the very least. Maybe I forget that his sister likes to beat people up, so when she finds out what happens, she gonna come to my crib and then we gonna have to fight, and now I got a black eye to this job interview, right? The second one, okay, I sit home, I journal a little bit, I cry, I feel better, my body feels a little better. Maybe I start, practicing with my makeup and I'm like, oh damn, I'm a bad bitch. Maybe one time when I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm having a deep moment and Beautiful by Christina Aguilera come onto my Spotify and I start crying, I'm like, actually I am beautiful no matter what they fucking say. And I don't care if I don't have a PS5 now, words cannot bring me down, right? And then with number 3, the cycle starts over again. So again, asking yourself who you become with the advice that you take, and also the character of the person telling you. If you are getting a reading from someone, if you're getting advice from someone who by no means has their shit together, right, is not really of good character, they're always in some fucking issue, right? People never have no nice shit to say about this person, and they're not jealous, right? But like, yeah, like, what does that tell you? And along with that, also, this, you rob yourself of the opportunity to be new. You rob yourself of the opportunity to try again if you only feel like you can try again out of fear. If you only feel like you can try again out of fear, then you rob yourself out of the opportunity to loosen yourself from soil versus loosening yourself from quicksand when you're already in danger mode. Because with the Tower, things fall away so that you can start over again. So if things fell away so that you could leave your abusive ass ex, and people are trying to tell you to get back with that abuse, you don't really need them, right? But also, with the Devil card coming up, you gotta loosen your addiction to being in that cycle. So we're gonna get proactive. Excuse me. You can get a black or white 7-day candle. You can dress it with hyssop and rue, letting the herbs know, I want to help my ancestors heal and understand the ways that they hurt themselves through ignoring their intuition, through treating people unkindly that were trying to help me, through not listening to the people who were trying to help them, through engaging in fear so deeply. May the fear of my ancestors be transmuted. May the worries and stresses and pains of my ancestors be transmuted because they no longer have to deal with that, right? You can add Angelica to purify that. You can add agrimony to strengthen it so that you also see how you are doing it in your life and light that candle. Again, this can be a 7-day candle. This can be a pull-out candle. I prefer 7 days. I like to look at the flame. And I will be having an ancestral elevation class where we talk about all of this. You learn about how to dress a candle, how to work a candle for your ancestors, all that kind of stuff. But overall, you need to work on your discernment, and you need to work on trusting yourself when things are starting to go left. Work with the new moon. When the moon is new, ask yourself what's been going on with you, what things you want to change, and what ways you can steadily focus on those things instead of flitting your attention to everything else. So I would recommend doing a week by week thing where, the week of the new moon, you're writing down the goals that you have. Don't make it complicated. No more than 4 goals. No more than four things, right? 4 chunks. And you can break those things up by week. If you're a mutable sign, I know that sounds crazy, it's hard, it can feel complicated, but asking your elevated ancestors who do not have issues with indecision, who do not have issues with discernment, and who do not have issues with trusting themselves to come up. And again, the moon is going to be very important because it's coming up 3 times. Came up on the tower, came up with I listened to opposing opinions. This is the full moon. This is the full elevation of who you're becoming. And this is the full elevation of who you're becoming, as long as the full elevation of who your ancestors can become. A full moon with the Chariot. This is how you guide yourself. This is how you walk your talk. Resting is also important. When the full moon comes, rest. And this isn't to demonize anybody who gave your ancestors advice or who worked with them, because they too, they were seeing the full extent of who your ancestors could become. And sometimes our ancestors do things we're not proud of, and that's fine. We here now to fix shit. We here now to move better. So do the bang 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 for the moon. On the full moon, reflect, relax, rest. Think about the things that did not help you. Write it down and burn it. Write it down, burn it. Simple. Cute, simple, easy, cha-cha-cha. And you're going to be fine. Just try to find more ways to slow down. Maybe take more baths. Work with lavender. Lavender really helps a nigga slow down. Lavender slows down, different things in spell work and life. It's calming. Get an oil that smells like lavender. Whatever feels good for you. I have a lavender lull in my shop. Very helpful for anxiety, for communicating, all of that. It smells delicious. So group 4, thank you so much for showing up. Again, I will be having an ancestral elevation class very soon. So stay in touch. Look at my website to get involved and figure out when that's going to be. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And y'all have a beautiful day. This reading is timeless. Enjoy.